Have you ever heard the phrase, where there's a will, we want to be in it? Yeah, today we're going to talk about planned giving. This is one of my favorite topics because planned giving is directly correlated with annual giving. So, all of those lower level, more modest gifts, the $50, the $100 gifts, your $5 and $10 monthly donors, all of those are leading up toward probably a planned gift or a legacy gift that comes out of the person's estate, not their income. Planned gifts are amazing because they tend to be larger than your average annual gift or even some major gifts because they are made out of assets and not out of your income. So, what is the easiest way to dip your toe into the water of planned giving? The easiest way is to begin to put out some promotional materials that educate people as to their options. I like to start with the two easiest kinds, and that is beneficiary designations and bequest. So it's easy to remember because it's two B's. Anything more complicated than that that comes up with a donor that they want to ask you specific questions about, you can then go research online. And I have a really great tip for how to get the most accurate information on the cheap, so that you can make sure that you're educating your donors and you're keeping up with the law, because the law around estate giving and charitable donations made through estates changes all the time. So you do have to stay up to speed on it. But the simplest are beneficiary designations and bequest. So a bequest is simply where the donor puts your charity into their will for a particular amount, or they can structure it differently. They can say a percentage of the estate that remains after they pass. They can also do what's called a residual bequest, meaning that if they have a surviving spouse, the charity doesn't get anything until that spouse passes, and then they get a percentage or a stated amount. Those can work lots of different ways. There's all sorts of ways to structure them. What I like to do is educate people on the importance of having a will, number one, and then also that the bequest for the charities can be put into that will. And you can provide sample bequest language of how that might look to have it structured. That just saves the donor an extra mental step. They can take that sheet of paper to their attorney rather than having to think about how they want it structured. You want to say, save any steps and reduce any amount of friction that you can. For beneficiary designations, it's often even easier than that, whereas a bequest will require an attorney for you to go and set up. A beneficiary designation is usually done with a simple form. So that's if they have a 401k or a life insurance policy or anything like that where it requires a beneficiary, they can put a charity as a 10% beneficiary or beneficiary for a particular amount. So maybe they have $1 million life insurance policy and they want to put your charity down for 100,000 of that. They could easily do that either by doing a 10% or stating they get 100,000. Beneficiary designations and bequests are pretty easy to change. They're both what we call completely revocable. They can change them at any time if their situation changes. And a lot of times donors just don't know that this is an option. So what you want to do is start cultivating, particularly your monthly donors, your consecutive annual donors, the people that are really devoted to your cause, and don't restrict it based on the amount that they give, because a lot of times these folks have a lot more to give in their estate than they do on their annual with their annual gifts. So that's where I would start with plan giving. And then if you have more complicated questions about things like charitable remainder trust or charitable lead trust, these sorts of more complicated things, annuities, you can stay up to speed though. Find a large, comprehensive college or university and go to search planned giving University of Georgia or anywhere like that, Michigan, and it will end up taking you to their page. Most of these colleges and universities use one of a few vendor companies who keep up with the estate law, and they're going to have the most up-to-date information on their website that will enable you to research and know that you're getting completely the right information. They're going to have the most up to date things. These consulting companies that they work with that provide the information on these plan giving pages for these different universities are going to, they're going to be JDs, they're going to be researched in estate planning law and so forth, and they're going to have the most up to date information on there. So if your nonprofit can't afford to put out a bunch of fancy um, calculators that show you how the cash flow works, just go find a very large higher education institution, find their plan giving pages, and I will almost guarantee you that they're going to be very well put together and up to date with the latest information. So that's how I would get started with plan giving. I would do a marketing campaign that goes out to everyone, particularly your most loyal annual donors, and I would begin to educate them about bequests and beneficiary designations. And then I would find my favorite large comprehensive public university and I would find their plan giving pages to reference for anything more complicated. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. We're going to be talking about plan giving a lot lately. I've been thinking about that. And I'm going to pretty soon be rolling out some products to help you promote plan giving, and especially IRA rollovers is the first step. So we're going to be talking more about that on Real Deal Fundraising soon.